Hey, Amazon Prime streaming service. You f***ing cunts. If you f***ing dare cancel this f***ing series like you f***ing canceled the f***ing Tick, I am gonna be f***ing pissed at you, you stupid mother. Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to an all-new Crossin streams. As always, I am your host, the real Geno Reynolds, and today, I finally got to watch it. Today we're going to be talking about The Boys, which is based on the Garth Ennis comic and is streaming on the Amazon Prime streaming service. If you couldn't tell from my intro, even though a bit exaggerated, I really like this season a lot. We'll get to that in a minute. What this series is about. It's about the world has superheroes, and the superheroes are basically, most of them are corporate stooges, and the main group being called the Seven. And what this is about, it's a group of non-powered humans that are trying to take down the corrupt Seven, some of them for personal reasons. Look, I never got to read the comics. I've always read about the comics. But I've always wanted to read them. I'm a big fan of Garth Ennis' work on his time on Punisher Max. So I was really curious about this series. And I couldn't wait to watch the show. But life is life, and it took me forever to get to it. And I finally got to it this weekend. It's only 8 episodes. It's a pretty quick watch. And I'm happy also that there's probably going to be more. Then again, there should have been more of the Tick. And Amazon decided to cancel it after 2 seasons. I'm not going to get started on that. Still mad about that, Amazon. Pretty much, I loved everything about this season. First of all, the performances are great. I love Carl Urban as Billy Butcher. I mean, he's just this broken man bent on vengeance. He does a lot of things his own way just to get his own way, whether he's putting his friends in danger or not. I really loved Jack Quaid as Hughie Campbell. If Jack Quaid doesn't play a young Michael Shannon in a movie, I'll be disappointed because he looks a lot like Michael Shannon. I'd love to see him play the younger version if Michael Shannon's doing a 2-part story where they show younger versions of him and older versions of him. So yeah, I love the main characters. Erin Moriarty as Annie. I really liked her a lot. She just has this... She's kind of the moral compass of the show in a way because she really wants to be a superhero. She's the newest member of the Seven. And she really wants to be a superhero for what superheroes are supposed to be. But when she finally becomes one of the Seven, which is right the first of the show, she learns real quick, and I mean real quick, that things aren't the way they're supposed to be, and just the way she grew up and everything else. As the season goes, we see her go through these changes and noticing that things weren't as great in her upbringing and all that she thought it was. What I really dug about this show is all the characters, because all the main characters, at least the majority of them that we get to spend most of the 8 episodes with, they all have some decent character development, whether it be both hero or villain. You've got Billy Butcher. He learns a lot of things during about some of the things that happened to him during the whole season. Hughie Campbell, that's Jack Quaid's character. And by the way, speaking of Hughie Campbell, his father in this is played by who the artists wanted to be Hughie Campbell. Simon Pegg plays Hughie Campbell's dad, where in the comics Hughie Campbell he looks just like Simon Pegg. So I always thought that was a cool little connection. But his character goes through a lot. He starts wanting revenge for something that happens to someone he cares about. But then things change for him over time, and then now he's caught in this whole thing. I loved Anthony Starr as Homelander. Just like in my review of Brightburn, I loved to see what I've always been interested in the story of Superman going bad, which is why I think I need to play the Injustice games too. But Homelander is truth, justice, and the American way twisted. Definitely the American way. Truth and justice, his own truth and his own justice and his own American way. And I really loved the smugness of his character, but his character also has things that are being kept secret from him. So you know that when he finds out these secrets, things are not going to go well for people. And that happens throughout the season. You have your Wonder Woman character, Queen Maeve. She's more of a minor character, but she does play into some of the bigger plots. You have Jesse T. Usher as A-Train. He plays in the main plot because he does something pretty bad to one of the main characters at the first of the season. I don't want to go through all the characters, but one I do want to mention is the Deep, which is basically Aquaman. He does something really bad in the first episode to a character, and let's just say I'm really curious where his character is going to go, because his character finally gets called out for it, and his life has changed dramatically because of it, and then something happens to him that he doesn't like, and I'm wondering where that's going to take his character. I'm really curious on what they're going to do with him. But both teams have some interesting characters where some have really fleshed out plots, some have some minor fleshed out plots, but they all have something going on. I am a little curious also about Black Noir. Unfortunately, I know if they do what they did in the comics, I know where they're going with this character, and I like it. I just kind of wish it wouldn't have been spoiled for me. And I won't spoil it here, what they do with him. But I do like what they did with him in the comic. I just kind of wish that would have been revealed to me through the show instead of through a spoiler page. There was the thumbnail right there saying what it was. It's like, come on, man. They didn't even do it in the show. I thought, okay, they at least did it in the show in the 8 episodes. Before I had seen it, I thought maybe they were doing that. And no, it wasn't even in the show yet. Probably in season 2, maybe season 3 if they get to go that further. Amazon. Hopefully you decide to keep running with this one, because as much as I love The Tick, I really love this show. And I'd be sad to see this one go. But what I like is, while there are some real good guys in this, there's not many of them. The character of Annie, she has to be, again, like this moral compass of what superheroes should be. While Billy Butcher and Hughie and his team are supposed to be the good guys, they've got some dark stuff going on, especially like Billy Butcher. He doesn't care really who he hurts in a way. I mean, he does make some decisions that are good for his friends, but you wonder if that's his real motivation, is helping his friends or helping himself, because he has his final mission. And you've got most of the characters on both sides have issues that probably aren't the best for the world. So I really liked what they had going on there. One thing that they cover, and really it feels like, okay, I don't know if the comics were like this, and you guys can maybe tell me in the comments below. But they deal with where superheroes come from in this. And while I like the story, it was almost a little too predictable, because I just seen it done in another series I just watched in a way. It's not the same exact thing, but it's similar. I just got done watching Young Justice Season 3 Outsiders, and that whole thing dealt with kind of where superheroes can come from too. And then I'm like, oh, they're doing it in this too? Okay, well, maybe it was in the comic. Again, I haven't read it, so I'm not sure. But man, there's not much else I can say about the series other than this isn't for kids. This is nowhere near for kids. This is an extremely violent, extremely vulgar Just mean-spirited show, but I loved every second of it because I love seeing what heat vision would really do to somebody. How do you kill a superhero with diamond skin? Well, they come up with a creative way. How do you stop a speedster? Well, they may stop themselves in some certain ways. The show's really creative on things like the superhero battles and things like that. They cover the eventual introduction, even though the superheroes are kind of super villains anyway. They introduce, the world gets introduced to supervillains in this. You see where America's corporate greed might take superheroes if they were the ones in charge of them instead of superheroes just working independently. They talk about all sorts of stuff like that. World issues. How would superheroes, handle these world crises? Can they handle them? The show has this private company, Vought, trying to get superheroes into the military. And that's kind of one of the main goals of the company, is trying to get characters like Homelander to be able to fly overseas and take care of business. So there's all that. There's that. But superheroes are kind of they're rented by states to come, and one of the deals they're trying to work out is, we want to send this person to Atlanta. It'll cost you this much money, and they're trying to make deals. Well, do you really want a superhero in your state? So you get to see a lot of the corporate greed of what would happen if corporations ran all the superheroes, or at least the majority of superheroes. The 7 being the biggest group of them. But all in all, this season, if you have Amazon Prime and you like a darker superhero story, The Boys is definitely for you. There is a lot going on in the show, but there's not so much going on that you're going to miss out on any character development, or there's not too much character development going on there. I think there's just enough characters. I would hate to see them add way too many more superheroes. That might get a bit confusing if you have too many more. Because while there is other superheroes that you see, the ones that they focus on the most is the 7. So you only have to deal with those. And then the Boys, the group only ends up being like 5. Which I don't know if there's more in the comics or whatever. But yeah, this show, I loved it. I was excited about it. And yeah, again, it's very vulgar. It's very violent. Not very politically correct, but it's just a balls to the wall. Just there's detective parts of this. There's like a mystery to it. There's many mysteries to it. They have to figure out all these different pieces of the puzzle to try to figure out how to take down the 7. There's a lot of action, a lot of violence, a lot of jokes, a lot of serious stuff. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff going on, and whenever I would get done with an episode, I lost a lot of sleep watching others, and there was times I was running myself so thin trying to watch it that I was falling asleep, not because I wasn't excited, it's because I'd been staying up too late trying to watch this show, and I'd have to go back, and I wanted to watch it all straight. This is one of those shows where I'm kind of getting tired of streaming everything all at once. Though that was cool at first, I think we kind of need a break from that, but this show, there was only 8 episodes, they're an hour long each, and I loved every second of it. There wasn't a part of this show that I'm like, man, I wish this would move on. I was just drawn to this show, and I really dug it. So if you like stories about darker superheroes, definitely check out The Boys. That is going to be all for this edition of Crossin' Streams. If you like what you've heard here, please subscribe to the Real Geno YouTube channel, like this video, and you have anything to say about The Boys, or I'm curious, how well did it adapt the comic? Please feel free to leave a comment in the section below. Till next time, I'm your host, the Real Geno, Geno Reynolds. See you later.